This presentation is brought to you by the Electronic Motor Racing Network. We are a for-hire broadcaster. If you would like us to stream your league, contact DayPaulB661 on Discord, member number 1015. Thank you, and enjoy the race. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Captain TV Open Wheel Series on the Electronic Motor Racing Network. My name is Alan Bledsoe, and I am at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park with your friend, the one and only Luke Daniels. How's it going, Luke?
Great, Alan. Thanks. Good to be here. This is my first broadcast, and I'm looking forward to a learning experience, and it should be fun. I'm sure I'll have lots of mistakes and missteps along the way, but I think it'll be an enjoyable time all around.
Well, mistakes and missteps are always part of the learning process. I mean, take it from someone who's done this entire open wheel series here in the Captain TV. It's definitely one of those types of things that comes with experience. And typically, I'm not even the lead broadcaster. That's Jesse. He's the one that brings us in every day or every week, but he's not able to make it. This is, of course, it's the second week in a row. But hey, he's he's got a really busy life, and he's been going through some things here lately. So um, everybody's got to cut him some slack. Uh, he's got a he's got some life events happening.
Right.
So
I understand. I mean, that's got to take care of what's important, you know. I mean, racing, this is what we do for fun. It's our way to unwind and focus on the important things.
mhm.
But we've got a very exciting race ahead for y'all. Looking forward to it. It's 2.46 miles around this road course. It's a very deceptive track. 10 corners, two of them are flat, and you'd think it'd be pretty easy because there's only really two hard braking zones. But you get a little bit out of line, just a little bit out of shape, and it's easy to get caught out and get sucked off into the grass. And at these speeds and these Indy cars around here, if you go off in the grass, you have very little chance of saving it. And I think we might see quite a few people's nights ended by concrete exposure or tire walls.
Yeah, for sure. Um, this. Oh, I had something I was going to say, and now I don't remember what it was. That's a typical me move right there. um, so we have looks like 15 race cars on the track this week, which is a couple more than we had last week, and it's as the pace car gets started moving. Did Robbie Audi miss? Oh no, he's the brilliantly colored white car right there.
Yeah, I believe he mentioned in practice that he had some issues going on with his trading paints or something. I don't think that's the paint scheme he intended to run, but at the very least, it'll be easy to tell him apart from the other cars.
Well, we have Robbie Audi that got the pole position, and then we have Luke Daniels there in the 98. He's in second. Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. Hey, this is a tape delay broadcast. This race was run on Thursday, and, well, Luke Daniels here is joining us in the booth from the racetrack. So you guys get a little bit of a taste of the voice from the driver's seat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm happy to be y'all's Clint Boyer. Have a few beers and generally make lots of mistakes, but give the input from a driver's perspective. So this race saw the debut of a new qualifying format that more closely mirrors the real IndyCar series. So in IndyCar, you start off and split up into two groups, and each group goes out there, and the top 6 are taken to run in Group 2. And then those 12 drivers will be whittled down to 6 drivers for the Fast 6. And it's just an all-out blitz to see who can set the fastest overall lap. And it doesn't affect the tires that you start on. And that's basically what we're doing here today with an abbreviated version of that. Basically, we split into 2 groups, random draw, and everybody tried to get into the top 6. And if they started in the Fast 6, they just could run whatever tire they want and then start the race on whatever tire they want, which is why you're seeing lots of guys running on black tires at the start of this race, which from practice it looks like will be the preferred tire tonight. Got about 18 laps you can do on a full tank of fuel, 19 if you stretch it, 20 is tough but potentially doable, and for 60 laps it's going to be a toss-up between a 2-stop and a 3-stop race.
The green flag is out. Robbie Audi is on the well, he takes the really. Oh my goodness, that was a
huge Locklear, I think,
hit.
up in the gravel.
Who was that? Ryan
Yeah,
Whitaker?
that's the 2 of Matt Telder right there. That's off track, and the 13 of Austin Sahr both Having to tow to pit lane there in that massive crash in turn 1.
So
Oh, that was a big one.
we hadn't mentioned yet, but Jesse Rathbun has actually joined us, and he's here. Your lead broadcaster is here.
Sorry about that, guys. Work kept me a little late.
It's all right. So we're gonna have to go backwards here to find out what actually happened between Matt Telder and Austin Sahr.
Like Telder sent it into 1.
And just put them both hard into the tire barrier. As Sam Fontaine, he missed the corner, but he didn't quite get into the crash.
Luke, what's your perspective on this, getting down in here like this? I mean, he went 3.
Oh yeah, he.
You know, he was not gonna make that corner even if he was by himself. Do you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's a very difficult corner in the best of times on hot tires and hot brakes. And at the start of the race, you've got cold tires and cold brakes, and then you're out of position to begin with. You're definitely going to need to check up a lot just to even make that corner by yourself. It's a very aggressive move. Some would argue too aggressive for turn 1, lap 1 of a 60-lap race. But we got a caution, we've got fast repairs, and we'll see if we can get everybody sorted up and kind of recover from that mistake. It's actually the first caution that we've had in this series on a road course in several weeks now. So it's a pretty major incident.
Yeah, that was a huge hit.
Well, the good thing about doing a pre-recorded broadcast is we can jump straight to.
So, what was that, Jesse? The last word you said?
We can jump straight to the green flag.
Yeah, we can. We can. And I guess I could do that now. Oh, well, I missed the restart. That's okay.
Well, yeah, we're back green, and they're down through turn 1. Looks like everybody's going to make it pretty clean this time. The 44 out front, that's no surprise here. He's your all-time laps leader here in the Captain TV Open Wheel Series. And the 26 of Dan Marrera still trying on the heels of Mr. Luke Daniels, who's joining us tonight in the championship battle coming into this race. So he's keep Luke behind him and finish this off. You know, he's got a good run so far, good qualifying spot. Up 5 position, or I'm sorry, not yet. So he's doing well out front right now. Is that correct right there, that he's up 5 positions from the start?
Yes, it is. He actually qualified 7th, so I think he benefited from that lap 1 mayhem. It also saw Luke Daniels went off in turn 1 into the grass a little bit and dropped back a couple spots. He's currently sitting in 4th, and so that helped Dan Marrera, who's got his teammate Charles Baldwin nipping at his heels here. Saw several times they got very close there in turn 5, Moss Corner, that hairpin. One of the trickiest corners on the tracks. Definitely not a place you want to be too close to your teammate. You could have one of those team moments.
Matt Telder on Austin Sahr moments.
Exactly. And you got to be careful because that sort of incident can easily have a wreck involving multiple cars and bring out the full course Telder. Full course caution.
I think that was well deserved.
Yeah, it's been a joke for a little while. We like to give him a hard time about it. But one thing that caution does do is that changes the fuel strategy. Going into this race, it was a toss-up between a 2-stop and a 3-stop. You know, maybe you try to run 18 laps each on your first 2 tire stints, first 3, and then run the reds for just a short little bit there at the end. The track will be cooling off as the race goes on and taking rubber, and that should help the reds wear a little bit less rapidly. But if you're trying to start on the reds right now, it is going to be tough. I was seeing in practice at times after a full stint, you could be down to 50% on your front tires. So at the very least, this changes the fuel numbers and we shouldn't have too many issues with people making it on 2 stops, unless they choose to come in for tires.
Well, here you see.
All right, well, that is.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jesse.
I was just going to say that's great insight that we're getting from the driver here, who's currently running in 3rd position of the race, or 4th position, I'm sorry, where we have mentioned here that we are doing a pre-recorded race here. So you're looking at the 44 of Rabiati out front, no pressure from behind, on a Thursday afternoon cruise. Doing a great job here at Canada Motorsport Park.
Dan Marrera has dropped back. I think he went off in Moss Corner.
And there's the 26 on pit road. You can see on your track map right there on the screen. He's on pit road getting that fast repair. We get some fuel while he's in there, I'm sure. And again, Luke, you said this is
with that
going to change strategy.
Did you guys see that helmet?
In Marrera's car?
I gotta go to rear chase.
What is that?
It looks like a smiley face.
Huh.
Let's see if I can get a better view of it.
Sure does look like a smiley face. I think that's going to be your best view that you just had, so.
Yeah, the rear chase. That's funny. I like that, Marrera.
He's got a great sense of humor. Looks like he came out of the pits. Is he currently still running in 6th? Yeah, I guess he's right ahead of Austin Sahr, who was tied up in that lap 1 mayhem.
So Austin's the first car a lap down, and then Matt Tilder's right behind him at 2 machines. So looks like there's a couple other drivers still remaining on pit road. Jonathan Thomas looks like he's on pit road right now in the 31 machine. 32 machine, I'm sorry. And then Mike Benedetto in the 25 and Zach Hallinan in the 74, all a lap down, but they are all currently on track. 2 on your screen right here, rolling off pit road.
Yeah, that's Jonathan Thomas. He was. We showed him on camera. I heard a big bang, and coming out of turn 5, Moss Corner, it looked like he just kind of spun out by himself and hit the wall. Had to be towed back down to pit road. Oh, 31. Something
There's going to be
31.
Oh,
coming out of pit road on those cold tires,
just a little too wide on the entry to turn 2. And like I said, this track has a lot of deceptively tricky corners, and turn 2 is the top among those, where if you're just a little bit out a little bit too wide for too long, you get sucked into the grass and you're just a passenger at that point. And what makes it hard is you really need to be out wide, and if you hit the line absolutely perfect, not turning in too early, not turning in too late, on fresh tires you can pretty much take it flat out through there at over 160 miles an hour. But that's very high speed to have a mistake, and just at that speed, at over 4 Gs of lateral cornering, just a small mistake can just end your day in an instant. You know, looks like Scott Wise was caught out by that.
Unfortunate for a guy that's had a lot of tough luck this season. Some of it being on the ovals where trying to make moves, trying to get a lap back from early incidents that got him behind the 8 ball, and again here tonight, behind the 8 ball early.
Yeah, for sure. And he's had a lot of tough luck, not just on the ovals, but a lot of the times on the road courses. I think he's probably an oval driver, but just not been having any kind of luck on the road courses to be able.
Well, let's clarify this though. I'm actually looking at his laps led. He is second in the league for laps led. So it's not getting the finishes that he average finishes, almost 13th position. So leading a lot of laps, a lot of them coming on ovals, I would assume. So, but just not able to get the finishes that he's showing the speed to have. Of course, Robbie Otti, laps leader coming into this race, had led 499 laps, so just dominant. Of the lap, that's almost half the number of laps that we've had in this series. We've had not quite 1,100 laps run in the series, and he's got almost 500 of those. So utter domination on these road courses, and even getting some solid runs on the ovals, and I believe even a win on one of those ovals at Texas.
Got Austin Sahr going around, I believe, Joey Lattisour. I don't believe that is for position at the moment.
No, Austin Sahr is a lap down still. Looks like Matt Telder has left the session. He's out of the race. So Michael Benedetto and Jonathan Thomas both have a spot that they can gain. Matt Telder, another one of those guys that has not had much road course luck, or success, I should say. Even though he's not a half-bad road course racer, he just makes those critical errors, I think, like what happened on lap 1.
Yeah, he's frequently had pace on the road courses. It is so tricky to put everything together over an entire race, and it's something I still struggle with, and really most of us do to an extent. Even Robbie Otti, who's been dominant virtually all season, has made some egregious errors on the road courses too. None of us have been able to put together consistently a trouble-free run every week. It's very difficult.
But yeah, and to have you expand on that a little bit, I mean, you just mentioned earlier you're pushing 4 Gs through a corner wide open at 160 miles an hour. These cars have such grip through these corners, but it seems like the edge of grip and braking grip is so much finer than a lot of other vehicles that you can drive on iRacing.
Right.
Is that the case? Is that true, or is that just observation here as we see a car
spin.
around?
Jonathan Thomas once again.
Looping it out of Moss Corner. Yeah, it just goes to show how tricky that corner is. And yeah, Jesse, that is correct. It is a very tricky car to drive. It has been helped somewhat by recent updates. A couple weeks ago when the new build came out, it came with a new road course tire model for the Dallara IR18. And in some ways, it has made the car a little more forgiving somewhat. And the back end steps out. The car kind of likes to be taken by the neck and just thrown around and driven hard. It might hurt your tires a little bit, but it does seem to match closer to the real world driving. Now, that's not to say that it is an easy car to drive, because it absolutely is not. And it definitely can still bite and catch you out and cause problems, because at high speeds, at that much grip, if something goes a little bit wrong, any change in grip is going to be very noticeable and very likely too late to stop. If you really want a perspective for just how intense this track is, I recommend riding on board with Robbie Otti and just take us through a lap from his perspective. Just see the kind of speeds that he's pulling. So
here you go. He's going through turn 1 right here. Yeah,
he's going to be flat out or
go
very
ahead.
close to it. And then he needs to get over to the right for this blind left-hander turn 2. It's 160 miles an hour minimum speed, and you can't see where you're going when you start the corner. You have to turn left and hope that you make it, that you hope that you're pointing the car in the right spot. In turn 3, it's an easy corner to turn in a little too early and push wide. And you got this flat out left-hander for turn 4. You need to take to the left to set up for Moss Corner, this double right-hander. Turns 5A and 5B. And it tightens up off of 5B. So it's very tricky to get that right, but it's off camber early on. So if you get a little bit out wide, again, it can suck you out to the grass. Got to get a good exit out of here. Full throttle all the way up the long Mario Andretti straightaway. Sixth gear, going to be hitting 180 or even 182 or 3 in push to pass. You start off flat through turn 8 and then lift a little bit. And then you need to brake for turn 9. And then drag the brake a little bit and get a good setup coming out of turn 10 to start the front straightaway. And once again, to set yourself up quick for a quick turn 1. So if you mess up any of those 8, 9, 10 corners right there, it's going to punish you for a long, long time.
It completely ruins the momentum if you mess it up.
Exactly, because you need to be in position for turn 10, which depends on having a proper exit out of turn 9, which requires you to have a good turn 8. So if you screw up any step of those along the process, because it's a linked sequence of corners, it's going to hurt you for turn 10. And you see, I mean, you got a straightaway after it and then a couple of potentially flat out corners. So you can easily be paying for that mistake for 20-something seconds.
Right, and like you said, it's just such a rhythm that you get in during that section. It's a bigger rhythm section than a lot of tracks we go to, but they are so connected in knowing where the RPMs are going to be, what gear you're in, where your points are. You almost don't even need your reference points because you can just go by the feel and muscle memory if you got to the point of memorizing the track so well. Like, it's obvious that you have, which is why you excel, not only in these cars, but likely other cars as well that you drive, is you put the time and effort in, and it shows on the track right now running P2 as we're kind of going through the field here. So you're doing an awesome job in that Extreme Sim Racer car. Trying to keep up with Robbiotti. You're the only one that's ever been able to stay on pace, currently running similar, basically the same lap times, it looks like, as Robbie on the track, just slightly faster, maybe a hundredth of a second or so. But tell us what it's like to chase a guy like Robbie. I mean, he's led almost half the laps, and then it looks like you've led about 115 laps. That's 5th in the league. What's it like to chase a guy that's completely dominating every week like that?
Well, it's tough for sure. He's week in and week out, he's the one to beat. And he always has the raw pace. And I've tried and tried to try and match it. And even if I can't, I always get better because of it. But I tend to focus more on the long run pace because in these Indy cars, the tire fall off is significant and it changes not just the total amount of grip, but also the balance of the car. And you need to be up on the tools and adjusting the car and doing what you can to try and make up for that difference as the tires wear and try to take care of them early on to put yourself in position at the end. So I'm not saying I've given up on trying to match his one lap pace, but knowing that I probably can get a better bang for the buck focusing on a full stint. And I'll tell you one thing I did in preparation for this race. I did put in a bunch of laps because this is the first time I've ever driven this track. So this was a very new experience for me. And Audi was the fastest in every practice session by a country mile. And I started watching him closely, and I looked at his onboards from one of his fast laps. I believe he was running like a 102.1, which is, again, really, really fast. And I studied him like corner by corner, like, all right, where does he brake? Where does he turn in? Where does he lift? Where does he seem to get back on the throttle? What exactly line does he use? Like, what reference points can I use to try and do that or to beat that? What's his minimum speed through the corner and how does it compare to mine? And one of the things I found is turns 1 and 2 is he's carrying a lot more speed. These are very, very high commitment corners. It's hard in sim racing to get a sense of fear from physical safety because you're not actually in danger. It's something that real racing drivers will talk about all the time. You think you can go flat out, or you know you can go flat out, but just willing yourself to actually do it and not take your foot off the pedal is often very, very difficult. And if you want to be fast at turns 1 and 2, it seems like that's what you're gonna do, what you need to do. I even tried at one point to emulate it, and just to show the amount of precision it requires, I did a technique that I'd heard IndyCar drivers in the real world talk about, where they need to really make sure they keep their foot in it all the way around the track at going into turn 1 at Indy, and they'll take their left foot off the brake pedal and put it on top of their right foot just to make sure they don't lift that little fraction subconsciously. I tried that, and I went to turn 2 the first time, fully committed, going to carry a lot of speed through there, and I crashed
Yeah.
immediately. So
Just not ready
why
for
it's
that
so
mental
scary.
hurdle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's not just the mental hurdle, but you also have to have the precision, and that does build that mental hurdle, because you know if you are just slightly wrong, how hard it can bite.
Well, in running for the championship, it might not hurt physically, but you know that is, that could cost you big time in another way, and as far as winning the championship with a beautiful trophy on the line, right? And as we've got the leaders on pit road right now coming in for their first stop of the race here at just crossed over to lap 21 when they were on pit road. So, Luke, you entered
And
this.
Daniel's coming in right behind him.
So you came into this stint. Do you remember about how many seconds you were behind? Like about
I
10 seconds or so, if I had to count, just guessing there.
think I was
We'll
6 or 7 behind at that point. I was trying to gain on him. It took me a while to get around Morera and Baldwin, and he pulled away from me while I was behind them. This is a very difficult track to pass at as well. And then some laps I could maybe gain on him late in the stint. Sometimes I couldn't, and I don't really feel like I made much progress over the course of the run compared to. I didn't do a good job of chipping away at that lead that he built up.
we'll see. It looks like he pulled you a little bit on pit road. Not surprising hearing what you just said about him being able to run on fresh tires a little harder than you are willing to at this point. It is a building league, it's a learning league, so I don't know how long you've been doing these cars. It sounds like you really do your homework, put the time and effort in. It obviously shows. What kind of thing has helped you as the 13 of Austin Sahr's on pit road right now? Remember, he's currently a lap down after that early incident with he and Telder. Looks like the 77 slowing down, coming on pit road as well. Sam Fontaine. And we'll see. Looks like the 25 is going to go by pit road. Michael Benedetto, so we'll look to see him on pit road in a few more laps as that is the, can't tell who that is right there behind him. Austin Sahr right behind the 25. We've got cars off track.
That's Luke Daniels off in the grass. Smacked the wall pretty good.
And
hit it again.
Hit it again. There
Can he
goes
get
that,
it going?
Well, you had a huge lead on the third place driver. The 18 of Charles Daniels has gone by you right now, but on a different pit scene. Before the pit stops, you had a huge gap to third place. After you get it going, you're going to have to come down pit road again, get that damage repaired. Alan, tell us how that car's driving with that wheel right now.
Not good.
Not good. Alan is the king of telling us
The obvious.
that cars drive, of the obvious. So, Luke, I don't know if you get a chance to watch some of the broadcasts. I think it was at one of the street circuits, Chicago, I think. Somebody hit the wall and both tires broken. Alan's like, oh, he hit the wall. Man, that car is not driving good right now with those tires like that. Yes, sir.
That's a wobbly tire. It's not driving good.
Yeah,
Now,
it's very hard to hold on to.
every time we get damage like that, I have to let him give the play-by-play analysis there. So I'm unfortunate, Luke's having a great race. You were having a great race. Looks like you're going to go lap down here as the Rabbiati's passing right now on the front stretch going in turn 1.
So if I go back a lap to what actually happened there, you think you could take us through what happened, Luke?
I don't think we need to dwell on it. I think we can just put this behind us and forget it ever happened. But sure, yeah. I mean, it's pretty simple. I had seen Baldwin closing in behind me in turn 5 every single lap. Like I mentioned, it's a tricky corner. Like, which corner isn't it at this track, But he was closing in on me, particularly in that one, and I made the decision, all right, I think I need to try something a little bit different here. Maybe I should try a little later apex or breaking in a little bit later. I feel like I'm being maybe a little too cautious going in, and it's potentially hurting me. And, well, I was right to be cautious, let's just say. I pushed a little harder, and it pushed back. Walls push a lot harder than you can, that way.
Absolutely. So, came back out. You're still in 5th. First car lap down, it looks like.
Right in front of Charles Baldwin, who is now in 2nd.
Yeah, it's a very costly mistake because not only do you lose the track position, but that also basically ruins your fuel strategy, the pit strategy you had planned. Now, if you look at this point, I believe I'm on the red tires now, trying to make up for that. Since you need to run both tires anyway, figured might as well try and get a stint here to minimize the damage.
Absolutely, and you see those red tires right there that you just mentioned. So we're going to take a very short break, and we will come back and see what kind of looks like the 44 is catching Sam Fontaine. Sam's off the pace. He must have damage. Let's hold off on that break just for a second and go jump on board with Sam. He's pulling down pit road. Does he have some damage on any of those wheels? See, not the wheels, but he's sure missing a fender there. So you want to jump back? Or whatever. I'm being Alan. He's missing a wing there. Gets that fixed. To get back out there, that's going to give Austin a position, or Luke a position here.
Yep,
At
Luke
the line.
Daniels up a spot.
Big implications for that championship is
Judging from the gap. So it's a little over a minute lap time here. And at this point, got Joey Ladisseur about 53, 54 seconds behind the leader. So knowing that Daniels is ahead of Baldwin, he's putting down some good laps on the red tires while the others are on black tires. Might be able to catch Fontaine and Ladisseur for position. But we'll have to see how that all shakes out with fuel strategy and pit strategy, because the Reds are faster early on for sure, but they fall off so quickly around here that by the end of the stint, anyone on Reds is going to be suffering. The black tires, they just, in comparison, they seem to just get faster every single lap.
now. Let's go ahead and take a break. Oh, as we got another car. Who is that one?
32 of Jonathan
The
Thomas.
32. Jonathan Thomas off again. You mentioned how tough this track is, so not going to bring out a caution, just another self-spin as Luke is catching him real fast here. You're not going to miss a thing from this race, though, because we are going to go side by side. But we will be right back in the Electronic Motor Racing Network for the Captain TV Open Wheel Series, as you see your points leader, Luke Daniels, off track, same corner.
Keeps it off the wall this time, so that's an improvement. Do that 3 or 4 more times, and he might actually be able to keep it on track for a full lap.
All right, so we will be right back.
This presentation is brought to you by the Electronic Motor Racing Network. We are a for-hire broadcaster. If you would like us to stream your league, contact DayPaulB661 on Discord, member number 1015. Thank you, and enjoy the race.
And welcome back to the Captain TV Open Wheel Series on the Electronic Motor Racing Network. We are coming up to halfway as Robbie Audi crosses the line right now. We are halfway in this race lap, or is that lap 39?
We should be starting lap 30.
Right at halfway.
Okay, yep, so right at halfway, 30 of 60 here this evening. So, joining the booth with guest analyst and driver Luke Daniels, your current championship leader. Thanks, Luke. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
I see you're on board right now with Luke. You've had a couple incidents off the track here this afternoon in turn 5, trying to get through there as fast as you can. Made a couple mistakes. Had to use one of those fast repairs. Wore out probably some of your tires on that last one. You were quite a bit ahead of the 18 now. I'm struggling to get around here. Tell me what the tools are that you have at your disposal behind the wheel during a run. Kind of how you're going to use those to try to get around the 18.
Sure, yeah. If you go back to the onboard footage, I can point them out individually and explain them. So this is a tape-delayed broadcast, and this was from my replay, so it actually shows what my actual settings were at that moment, which maybe I shouldn't be giving away that sort of information, but why not for the broadcast? So on the bottom left of the screen on the wheel there, that's your front anti-roll bar, which controls the roll stiffness of the suspension. And basically the higher number that is, the stiffer it is. And when you stiffen a roll bar on one end of the car, that end loses grip. It can gain some responsiveness and it won't have as much body roll. But as far as just like pure mid-cornering grip, it will be a little bit less. The one right next to it, is the rear anti-roll bar.
The 5?
And these range, yes, the 5. These range in numbers from 1 through 6. They have 6 different positions. They're driver adjustable, and what it is there's like this little metal blade in the suspension that can turn, and as it turns, it's stronger in some directions than others. Kind of think like an I-beam. If you're trying to flex an I-beam that's standing upright, it's going to be a little bit harder than if it's like on its side or tilted somewhat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Directly to the right of that first yellow box where you see the 8, that is the push to passes remaining. You get 10 push to passes during an IndyCar race, and that's just a little button you press to get a little extra horsepower. Give you about
that's versus
so
seconds.
Horsepower.
You get 10 seconds per push to pass in the sim versus a set amount of seconds in the real world. So in the real world, you get what, like 120 or something seconds, or
yeah, in the real world
more
it
than
varies. They're about 150 seconds on the street courses, and I believe 200 seconds on the natural terrain road courses. And it's just a little extra power, but in iRacing, yeah, we're limited to 10 presses of a button that give you a maximum of 10 seconds of duration. And if you touch the brakes or back off the gas midway through, it'll cut out, and that still counts as your use. So you need to plan very carefully, use it wisely, because if you press it and have to back out of the throttle, as I've done, got enough power, you press the push to pass button, and that little extra bump of power can break the tires loose. You back off to save it, and well, you just wasted a push to pass. So that's a bummer, but you gotta use them wisely for that exact reason. To the right of that is the fuel map. There are 8 different fuel maps you can choose from in the IndyCar. Maps 1 through 5 are linear pedal shaped, meaning like you move the pedal halfway, you've got half the max amount of fuel going to the engine. It's a linear 1-to-1 relationship, but every higher number you go saves a little bit more fuel. So map 5 is going to be the leanest fuel map for under race conditions, and it saves the most fuel but has the least amount of power. Map 6 and 7 are full power maps, and they're often referred to as the road course maps. And what those do is they make the throttle curve a little bit S-shaped. So for map 6, your initial pedal movement gives you a little bit less gas than it normally would. This helps for like coming out of a slow corner where you need to really be ginger on the throttle, trying to put down 700 horsepower to your rear tires. This will help make that a little bit easier. Just makes the throttle a little bit less sensitive.
So it doesn't it doesn't give the power immediately. It waits till you get further down on the power.
Map.
The farther you push the pedal, the more power you get, but it doesn't give it all right up front.
Exactly. And map 7 is kind of the inverse of that, where it's S-shaped, but it gives you a little bit more power early on in the pedal travel. And that's one thing I'm trying to do here. You have to manage it here in this corner we're going through, Moss Corner, turn 5, because it's a low speed corner, the slowest one on the track. So you have to be extra ginger there when you're going with a more aggressive fuel map, but it helps in the other faster corners where you've got enough downforce to where you can't spin the tires. So that little extra juice early on in your pedal travel can help your lap times, theoretically.
Absolutely. And just a note real quick, you guys saw the 18 pull off. He was running in second place, came to pit road, put on, he got to the end of his fuel stint there, so came to pit road, got 4 fresh tires, filled it up with fuel, and gonna have to stop one more time for the end of this race on that strategy. So still in second place currently, but did want to make a note of that as we're going to get the description of the steering wheel. So we are now on to the little orange box right there. It says 10 seconds, and what does that say there?
It's MPG. That gives you your miles per gallon that you did on the previous lap, and so you use that for your fuel number. You might hear drivers talk
save
about that.
Going through turn 5 right there. Sorry, I just saw you cranked it all the way to the left there as we're on board here. Big save going through that corner. So go ahead. That's the corner that's giving you so much trouble throughout the race there. So you've talked about all the difficulties.
Yeah, we might not be exactly synced up here. I'm just looking at the broadcast, but oh, sorry, that's my fault. I'm looking at the wrong screen. Okay, I'm back. All right, thank you. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's definitely a scary corner, like I've said before. That was almost another of the 2 messy incidents I had in this race alone, in that corner alone.
So going back through the field here, we've still got Robbie Oddie as your leader, almost about 3/4 of a track ahead of second place, which is your Charles Baldwin.
Charles Baldwin just made a pit stop, which is why he's
so far back. Yes.
Behind.
Yes.
He was still quite a bit behind, but not. He was about where Luke Daniels, that 98 car, is on your track map. He was right up in front of Luke whenever he came to pit road. So he lose about a half a lap on pit road or so. It looks like, just by visual cue. So go ahead, Alan. Keep going through the field here. Who we got?
He is also one of only, or he is also the only car on the lead lap still that is not the leader. So pretty incredible. Robbie Oddie is putting up just an insane pace. 74 just went around, it looks like.
Back Allen in.
Yeah. So that tricky turn 5 once again. But anyway, continuing through the field, we've got the number 23 of Joey Ladisser. He is in 3rd place, followed not too far back by Luke Daniels. Luke Daniels is slowly catching him. Sam Fontaine in that 77, he closes out the top 5. Austin Sahr, after being involved in that lap 1 incident, is in 6th place. Not too far back, about the same distance. No, actually he's closer to the 77 than the 98 is to the 23. And then Zachary Hallinan, who you just saw went off track, he is in 7th place. Dan Morera is in 8th place after having several issues throughout this race. Second place in points, right, Jesse?
No, actually, coming into this race, he had dropped down to third place in points. Robbie Audi had picked up some ground to the man we're talking to, Luke Daniels, who's joining us in the booth. So I did go back and look at that and just wanted to make that clarification as I misspoke earlier in the race. So entering at Tire Motorsports, points is Luke Daniels, Robbie Audi by 18, down 18. Austin Sahr down 27, Dan Morera down 55. So Dan actually dropped to fourth in the points after the circuit. You'll have to say that name. Because we've got Robbie Audi on pit road here. Or exiting pit road.
Yeah, so this is definitely shaping up to be a great. This is definitely shaping up to be a great points day for Robbie Audi. He's closing in on the points leader for sure. And look at the run Joey Ladouceur is having. He's in third place legitimately on pace. It's not that he, lucked into this or anything, and he's actually got a big gap on the 98. And I believe that last lap, it's hard to read exactly, but I believe on that last lap, he was a few tenths slower than the 98. But still, with that big of a gap, I don't honestly know that he can catch him in the amount of laps that we have left. We've only got 22 to go. And Baldwin's having another great run for him as well. I think in second.
Yeah, so Charles Baldwin, honestly, that's not a surprise to me. Charles Baldwin has been, since he started at, where was that? Was that Chicago, or was that the other street course we've run?
I believe it was Chicago, but I couldn't be certain.
Well, either way, he's been running really well on these road courses ever since he started in his first week here. So not a surprise to see him running up in the top three.
Absolutely
not. He's been very fast all week long, really. He's been right behind Audi in terms of pace. So those TI and TI associated drivers, the ones to beat for sure.
Absolutely, and Charles Baldwin actually has the least amount of incidents per race. And I know he's not run as many races, so that is skewed a little bit, but he's number one, 2/10 of a point behind Luke Daniels. Luke has just under 5 incidents per race, and Charles has about 4 quarters. So able to keep it clean during these races is my point given those numbers. So doing a good job again today of keeping it clean, running second place. And we've seen where, Luke, you've gotten off track a couple times. You're one of those other ones that just runs a clean race and it gets to the points where you can. So wouldn't it be ironic if this is the one race that you made mistakes and lost the points lead? So we'll have to stay tuned, see where the points shake out. You're in a good enough position right here to score enough points where you'll be able to hold the points lead, I believe, as long as you keep your current running position. Is that correct?
It would be tough because you win. If you win, you get 50 points. Second is 40, and third, I believe, pays 35. So that would put me 15 points behind, losing 15 points to Audi in this race. But then you also get bonus points for pole, for leading a lap, and for leading the most laps, all of which Robbie Audi has done this race. So if we finish right here, as it shakes out, Robbie Audi could be the new points leader leaving this track.
That'd be something. A guy that did not start the season. I believe he missed Daytona, the road course there. Took a provisional, and then he's missed one other races and taking a provisional, but has made all the other races, made the most of them, has 7 poles out of 10 races, 2 wins, 6 top 5s, 8 top 10s, so only 2 races that he's finished outside of the top 10. And done a masterful job of getting these cars on the track and getting the points when he can. So utter domination. He's already finished this year having been the only car on the lead lap. and obviously it's so fast I'd lapped everybody else, and I believe that was at Chicago. So, you know, he could maybe do it again. He's only got one more car to do, and he's about 25 seconds ahead. So if Charles makes a mistake, it could happen again, and wouldn't that be something? As you see the 98 points leader on pit road, this is a scheduled stop, as he ran 20 laps or so. It's the last time. 6 and 77 as well are on pit road. Sam Fontaine and gosh, I'm blanking on his name.
Dan Moreira.
Dan Moreira.
Moreira.
Both of those
So
guys.
that should give third place back to Joey Ladouceur because he only lost that spot due to the pit cycle. Daniel's at this point having wrecked. He's a couple laps off of the sequence from everyone else. But that should be the final stops made for just about everyone on track. Because everyone, if you've pitted in the last couple laps, you should be able to make it to the end of the race on fuel with no trouble.
Yeah, you can make it about 20 to 22 laps on this racetrack.
Charles Baldwin in the 18, he will have to make another stop. He has been 10 laps since he pit. It's been 15 since Zach Hallinan, and Michael Benedetto also pitted around that same time with 14 laps. As it looks like the 74 is on pit road now. Currently running in 7th position before this pit stop.
And guys, Hallinan has had some real issues throughout this whole race. He's 2 laps down, just trying to make it to the end. Had a couple of spin outs and run into the wall, used his fast repair. He's had some troubles this race.
But still doing fairly well in the top 10 in points, running 8th position in points right now. 10 behind Sam Fontaine, who's the guy right in front of him. He leads Left Turn Motorsports in the points for the team. It's Zach Hallinan, Cody Beatty, and Jacob Drift Galadulich. So currently leading his team right now, trying to hold on. Sam Fontaine obviously in front of him right here on track, so going to lose some ground. That battle for 7th position in the points. But when we're winding down the season, Luke, you've been chasing or been in the points for a lot of the season, been first or second. Coming down to the points, the trophy's going to be on the line. Like we said, the real life trophy going to be handed out to the points winner this season. How much are you looking at that? Have you been paying attention to it all season? Or are you getting to the point in the season where it's like, man, I really need to finish this off?
I didn't pay much attention initially. Big
There's a
crash. Sam Fontaine hard in the wall. Looks like that collects Austin Sahr as well, and potentially Joey Ladouceur going by.
Yeah. I don't know if they got damaged.
That's 3 teammates all together wrecking right there.
Ladouceur was just coming out of the pits.
Off the tire.
Fontaine lost it. Very unfortunate incident.
Did this bring
Ladouceur just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Literally nothing he did wrong or really could have done differently. See what caused Sam Fontaine to get loose.
It looks like he ran a little bit wide. That tire there hits the wall, and big damage for both of those drivers.
All 3 of them.
The wheel repaired. There may have been some net code contact.
It might have been, yeah. Well, he's
definitely got
the
front wing damage.
But
if that's all that it is, that could be relatively minor because they have these quick release fittings on these Indy cars to where changing a nose can be done very quickly. You only lose a few seconds, and if the damage goes further back than that, yes, it'll hurt you more. It'll take longer in the pits and maybe not even be entirely fixed. But for just a front wing, that can be fully repaired very quickly.
Without a fast repair?
Right, without a fast repair.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, you see the left rear tire there.
Left rear bouncing up and down. It's going to be a broken control arm.
Are you guys surprised that didn't bring a caution out? And the rule for the cautions here on these road courses all season long has been if a tow truck would have been required in real life, a caution would have been out.
Caution is out. I see the flagman waving it right there.
Okay, yeah, it's still green on the leaderboard here, so I didn't see the...
Yeah, I didn't know it went out.
Caution flag. You're right, I see
Yeah,
it
so
waving
that's
out.
going to throw a monkey wrench into the works right now. This is a great time to talk about the new wave around rule that's also debuting this week
Yeah,
at this race.
yeah, tell us about that, please.
So in order to stop the, I guess, the sometimes over aggressiveness from people trying to race really hard and get their laps back, the Captain Series is now using a modified wave around rule that is somewhat of a mix between the IndyCar and NASCAR wave arounds. Basically, everybody is getting a lucky dog if you weren't involved in the caution. What the real IndyCar series does is if the leaders pit, everybody that stays out gets a lap back, just like NASCAR does with their wave around. The difference is instead of taking the wave around with one to go, they have a longer caution so that allowed to get they're allowed to get their lap back and then pit. You're not having to like pick. And the Captain Series is basically trying to emulate that to make it a little bit more realistic. So if the leaders pit, everyone that stays out is going to get manually waved around so that we don't have to have a super long caution, and then they'll be able to pit. And this was something I kind of misunderstood at the time, so not to spoil it, but I stayed out and took a wave around the old school way, and well, we'll see what happens with the tires and the tire choices and everything, and see if our leaders come into pit with 13 laps to go. You got to be
That
tempting to put
tires.
on fresh reds and push hard to the end. We'll probably be going green with 10, 11 laps left in the race. So
Yeah,
that's
so
within the window of the reds still being fast, and you need to get that gap built up early.
absolutely. So the drivers that's going to affect is everybody in the field going to get that wave around. Luke, you're the only one that's going to be put back on the lead lap. Austin Sahr was eligible to be on the lead lap, but deemed ineligible for the wave around due to damage in that crash. So he will remain a lap down. That's going to put Sam Fontaine was in that wreck. Otto Sahr was in that wreck. So that's going to give Dan Marrero one of his laps back. Zach Hallinan one of his. One of his. So Luke, you are going to be the only one. So Luke, right here, you could have pitted with everybody.
Yes, I
Is
could
that what
have.
I'm understanding you say? Okay, that's where you didn't understand the rule, as it is a new rule. Some gray area, of course. So now, as everybody exits pit road, is that when the wave rounds are going to be given? Black
Right,
flag's clear
either that or
for pitting too
when they
early.
get bunched up. I'm not sure exactly where that happens, but yeah, and that does take a little bit of time. It takes a while to get a wave around at this track because you're having to flog it to really make up the distance in that amount of time.
Absolutely. Well, while they get it all sorted here in the Captain TV Open Wheel Series, guys, why don't we take a break real quick and we'll come back and catch the end of this race.
This presentation is brought to you by the Electronic Motor Racing Network. We are a for-hire broadcaster. If you would like us to stream your league, contact DayPaulB661 on Discord, member number 1015. Thank you, and enjoy the race.
And the
So-
green flag is back out with coming to 11 laps to go. At the field, Robbie Otti out front gets a pretty decent jump. Charles Baldwin in the 18 saved from having to make that last pit stop under green.
Ooh,
Luke
it's balding.
Daniels in the third position in the 98 car
To the inside, is it gonna stick? Is it gonna stick?
on older
He's got
tires.
older
it looks
black
like.
tires, but Baldwin has those fresh reds, but they're still cold. They take a lap or two to get up to temperature. So for right now, the Daniels might have the advantage. Yes, he's got him cleared into Moss Corner, and now he's got his sights set on Robbie Otti. Now the
Well, I
question
know
will
it's
be, can he catch him in time before Robbie's tires come alive and he starts to just pull away? And if he does pull away, will they start to fall off? Is he going to be pushing too hard and burn his tires up and lose a lot of ground there at the end?
The big thing is there's still 11 laps left in this race. That's a lot of time for those tires to not just build up the air pressures, but also to wear out. So maybe that 98 might still have a shot at the lead, even if he does lose that second place.
Well, and
Exactly.
here's a question for you, Luke. We're on blacks. The blacks come in during the long run. Yeah, they have a heat cycle on them, but it's still not new blacks. So is that, I mean, obviously it's a disadvantage to try to pass Robbie. You're going to need to be on equal footing to be able to do that. But is it a disadvantage as much as we think it would have been if it was new blacks versus new reds?
That is the question. The new blacks, I think, would take longer to get up to temperature than the reds do. So for the first couple of laps, you're definitely going to be slower on the blacks. It's tough to tell. This is the first time I've been in this situation before where I'm on old blacks, but they're already hot and have pressure. We see Joey
got a
Lattiser spin
crash.
around.
Yeah, Joey
I
Lattiser
don't
spin
think he
around.
hit anything.
You see all these guys right here. If you look at the track map on your screen, you see those guys that are already over a half a lap behind. Those are the cars that got the wave around that did not catch back up to the field. So nothing happened on track besides the 23 of Lattiser and the 77 of Fontaine, who have had incidents since the restart. But those guys are just that far behind as we continue to watch the battle for second. I didn't mean to interrupt your thought there. Just want to jump in on 23
No problem. And honestly, although at the time I was very frustrated with myself for misunderstanding the wave around rule and not taking fresh reds when I could have, it may have actually played into my advantage right here, because as you see, the 13 of Austin Sahr had a wave around, is back on the lead lap, but he never did manage to catch the field. It was only the leaders who didn't take a wave around, and then the 98 who also didn't and stayed out on those old blacks. So at this point, Baldwin's probably thinking, I gotta pounce, I gotta make a move, because he knows those tires are getting worse by the lap. Once you hit about that second lap, they're at their ultimate peak, and everything after that is just a little bit slower. And after about 6 or 7 laps or so, they're probably going to be slower than the black tires. So
Even
Baldwin
the
is
old
all
black
over him
tires?
trying to make a move right now, possibly even the old black tires, because another thing to consider is the fuel is burning off, so the car is getting lighter.
So right now, he was a lot closer this last lap. So you can already see what you're talking about on the screen. Now he's like 3 or 4, 5 3 car lengths behind, where he was just right on your gearbox there a couple laps ago, already starting to come back just a little bit.
Imagine both
Yeah.
drivers are probably
Yeah.
using push to pass on that long straightaway.
Absolutely, a great opportunity for it down that backstretch.
Right, because Baldwin's always been faster than the 98 in that corner, so he needs to try and press his advantage while he's got it, and then of course 98's going to be burning up that push to pass to try and keep ahead of him.
Absolutely. Alan, can we go on board with 18, see what line he's using versus the 98 here, see can't find some discrepancies on what we're looking at. Obviously, you got fresh red tires, third place in the 18 car of Charles Baldwin, following the 98 of the old black tires, and up ahead you see that tiny speck going around the corner. That is the 44 of Rabbiati on fresh reds, who has driven away, and you can see the different lines through turn 5. The 98 gets a huge jump off that corner, gets the power down. Baldwin, you can see, had pushed really hard to try to get by you, Lou. Just not able to do it, and now it looks like he has either made those tires angry, or it's already been 4 laps since we took the green. Or do they fall off that fast?
They can if you're very abusive to them early on. This baseline setup is tight, particularly in the high-speed corners. It's a little bit loose in the low-speed corners. And
you guys,
that makes it easy to burn the tires off, particularly the front. And if you're in somebody's dirty air, it's going to accelerate that process.
you guys can see in this camera angle just how hard Charles Baldwin is turning the wheel. And the harder you turn the wheel, the more aggressive you are on those tires, the more they're going to wear out. So he may be wearing them out a lot. Look how, I mean, when you go past 90 degrees on that wheel, you know you're turning really hard.
And he knows he's been faster than you at a 5A, 5B corner all day long. Looks like he's just trying to pick it up there, pick this entire gap up in that one corner, and drove it that lap. We've got 5 laps to go here for Rabbiati. These guys currently traveling about 10 seconds behind. No. Alright, you guys were going through the corner and he went away, so it said way longer. So, looks like a pretty good gap. No pressure, but Audi is behind a lap car who's gonna pull over and let him go. It looks like the 77 of Sam Fontaine. Like Luke is gonna be clear of the 18 unless the 77 slows that momentum somewhere.
Yeah, we're now beginning to reach that point. Sorry, go ahead.
Austin Sahr did get back on the lead lap. I thought he wouldn't be eligible for the wave around due to that incident, but was able to get waved around there. So he is back on the lead lap, currently running in the 4th position, the last car on the lead lap. Jack Hallinan, through all of that, that happened a few laps right to cause the caution, moved up into 6th position. First car 1 lap down, so good for him. Might make some distance on that 7th place in points. We are at 4 laps to go here, and Luke, you're trying to close the gap here. What are you running hard? Think you have a chance here, or is it going to take a mistake?
Yeah, it's tough to tell. We're hitting that point now where the blacks are beginning to be a bit faster than the reds. As on that last lap, I was just a few tenths faster than Audi. So yeah, it's a 10-second gap or 6-second gap. It's a little difficult to tell exactly based on the fluctuations, but we might see that start to shrink in these last few laps. But I really think that's probably too far back to make a move. It's going to take a mistake from Rabbiati, and so far for 57 laps, he hasn't really made any. So it's not really a good. I really don't like those odds as the guy driving the 98. Let's just put it that way.
The outlook for a number 98 win right now is pretty bleak.
Yeah, as we're running with 3 laps to go, got a pretty good gap for everybody on track right now. Besides the 26 and the 23, I believe, are right. No, the 23 is not. I thought I just saw somebody flash around the 26, but it looks like a pretty good gap around everyone here. And the best battle is the 98 trying to find a little bit of speed to catch the 44 Rabbiati, who's led pretty much every single lap of this race, including the pit cycle, which is quite impressive. So you can, on the the nose of the 98, just trying to hit all of these corners right, as we're coming around to get 2 laps to go here. And you can just hear it wide open through that corner. There's the blind corner you were talking about earlier, Luke, trying to track him down. He is getting a little bigger in your screen here. So he's definitely made some ground, but is it going to be enough?
That's the question. 2 laps to go to find out.
Turn 5, this is the one where you think he's beating you a little bit. Gonna still pull on him a little bit because of those red tires he's on wearing out. Definitely gonna get within a couple seconds, but the question is that gonna make him think too much as he drives? He's gonna come around to the final corner here. Robbie Audi going through the final corner. He is now on the front stretch. Robbie Audi gonna take the white flag at Canada Tire Motorsport Park.
Yeah, the gap definitely appears to be shrinking, but that's very hard to make up over a single lap. At this point, the best I can hope for really is that Audi can see the gap shrinking and get spooked, but the way he's been in command of this race, I think he's probably not even the least bit worried about it.
So here it is. Here's the 5A, 5B corners. Going to be going down the backstretch here. If you have the push to pass, you're definitely on it here.
Yeah, use it up.
You've been using it up probably every lap down the backstretch since the start.
Yeah, pretty sure if you looked right now, I'm out. Completely out.
So the gap does close a little bit. Must have got a good run off 5. Coming through the final turn, not going to be enough. Robbie Audi going to hold on for his second win. The Captain TV Open Wheel Series, Luke Daniels, points leader, comes home second. With this win, with this second place finish, gaining that extra position, should be able to hold on to the points lead. Charles Baldwin in 8th, Austin Sahr 13th, Zach Hallinan 5th. And Austin Sahr is in the 13 car, not 13th position. He's 4th position. Sam Fontaine in 6th, Dan Marrera 7th, Joey Ladouceur 8th, Michael Benedetto in 9th, and Jonathan Thomas 10th. Wise, Cody Beatty, Ryan Whitaker, and Jacob Locklear round out the field. So what a run by Luke there at the end, man. We didn't get an interview post-race for the podium finish, but we got an in-race analysis of a rewatch of the race. I think that's better than a 10-second, couple-minute post-race interview. But give us your final thoughts here on this race and what your perspective is with that second-place finish, able to hold on to the.
Well, it was great to limit the damage, at least. Audi gained a lot of points on me in this race, but it was caused entirely by my own mistake. And you can't really afford to do that racing a guy like him. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but that caution did kind of save me and allowed me to be competitive and fight with Baldwin to take second spot back. As you see, I'm backing up to try and get a little nice picture there. But it's just a dominant performance from Audi all week long, really, and nobody had anything to hang with him. So he got it done, and nobody else did. I tell you, I am at this point sweating bullets, as this has definitely made the championship battle even more tight. Right now, after this race, the top 2 in points separated by just a single point. It looks like that will be the battle to watch, as we've got Austin Sahr in 3rd, 35 points back, followed by Dan Marrera, 69 points back in 4th. And he was the points leader just a few races ago, which shows how quickly this can change. And then 5th, 6th, and 7th are all really tight, as all 3 of those are separated by only 8 points. So a lot of this championship is still very much up in the air with 4 races to go, and it's going to be intense. It's going to be going down to the wire, I feel.
You two, you guys have been on top of it all season long. Something happens and you and Robbie get into it and Austin has a good race, he's right back in the championship hunt too. So lots can change in these final handful of weeks. I was trying to look at the schedule to see where we're going next week. I believe it's Milwaukee, correct?
Yes, the Milwaukee Mile is back on the schedule. The
After
previous
much
race was
debate.
originally intended to replace it, but we decided to add it back, and we're extending the season to 17 races. That's going to be a tricky track for sure. From a little bit of testing already that I've done, I can tell you it's hard to hold on to, particularly on entry. There's gonna be a lot of people caught out by it, I think. So probably some attrition there. But a lot of these stock car guys with a lot of short track experience, guys like Sam Fontaine and Joey Ladisseur, they're probably going to be really, really competitive and could be the guys to watch next week.
Yeah, these ovals have definitely been a battle of attrition for sure. Short track, I don't see why that would be any different. So we appreciate you joining us, Luke, here at the eMRN booth. Hopefully we'll get you back, and we'll definitely be talking later in the season. Hopefully we'll get to that championship interview too, bud.
You and I are both open for that.
So, all right, well that's gonna do it for us here at Canada Tire Motorsport Park. We've been having a great time here. We're really looking forward to going to Milwaukee next week and seeing where this championship battle will go. It's another oval. We've seen calamity on ovals all season long. Is Robbie Oddie going to take the points lead? Luke Daniels hold on to it? Are they going to get in a crash of their own doing or of someone else's? You guys will have to tune in tomorrow on Thursday, October 7th. It's going to do it for us at eMRN. Y'all have a good night.